Hello everyone, good morning and good evening. Welcome back. Welcome to Cloud and DevOps Batch 56. So before I start the session, I would like to give a quick recap on what's being covered in the previous session. Since previous session is a demo, we spoke about what are we going to learn in cloud and DevOps, and also we saw what is cloud and what is DevOps, and why we need to learn both. Just by learning cloud or just by learning DevOps, how come it's very tough to get into the market? And I have demonstrated clearly with by taking four job descriptions. Whoever saying that cloud engineer with this skill set or a DevOps engineer with this skill set, the roles, the name of the designation changes, but technically you need to know end-to-end DevOps, because DevOps is a methodology which includes a cloud which includes for sure majority of the times you need to have a cloud, and at the same time you need to use a lot of tools to make developer life easy. And in the same time we are also going to use huge number of tools, open source tools. With the help of these open source tools, you are going to accomplish the software releases with a highest possible pace. Okay, and that's the reason this training is DevOps with AWS, not just DevOps training or AWS training. And since we are going to do things on the top of a project from the beginning, we refer this as a DevOps with AWS real-time training. From day 6 itself, we'll start going to work on a project. And also, yesterday we have seen what is cloud, why we need cloud, and who what is the first thing that you need to know to start with Linux, and how many types of applications are there? So typically applications are of two types, client-based applications and web-based application. So when what is a client-based application and what is a web-based application and what is the business right now is also something we have extensively discussed. And also we discussed what is a data center, why you need a data center, and why maintaining a data center is a very painful task by keeping all the capital intensive tasks in mind. Okay, I also demonstrated why maintaining a data center is a capital expensive thing, capital intensive thing. So those are the things that make companies to invest more amount, more time and energy towards cloud-based applications and cloud. And that's the reason this training focuses more on cloud. Since 75+% of the market customers and the clients are using AWS cloud, we are also going to learn everything using cloud. Also, we saw that in cloud, everything goes as a pay-as-you-go model. That means you're going to pay for whatever the services that you use. So you're just going to pay for what you used. So it's not anything above and beyond that. Okay, so you're gonna pay for what you have used, and that's the reason we refer it as a pay-as-you-go. And also in cloud, majority of the players, okay, the major players in the market are three: AWS Cloud, Google Cloud, and Azure Cloud. And 75% it's a one-side game. So I mean, rest of the clouds are also in the phase of evolution, and all of them have its pros and cons. But if you ask me who is a major player, Amazon Web Services is a major player, and that's the reason we focus more on the cloud. And again, cloud business operates in three different models. If you ignore on-prem is nothing but a data center model. Typically, maintaining your own data center is referred as on-prem. It's also referred as a data center. If someone talks that my applications are on-prem or my infrastructure is on data center, that means they are running their own infrastructure. Okay, and again, when you're talking about the cloud business model, there is also something called as a shared responsibility model. And keeping the shared responsibility model, the business operates in three different ways. One is infrastructure as a service, another is platform as a service, and another is software as a service. And what we are going to learn in the training, and what exactly it is, and what is the shared responsibility model in this, and which one is costly is also something we have extensively discussed in yesterday's session with a nice detailed diagram. All right. So what's next thing that we have learned? Okay. We also saw why huge number of jobs are there in the space of cloud and DevOps. If these many jobs are coming right now, how things are getting operated in the past, and why a lot of teams are moving, showing interest towards cloud and DevOps, and what is the reason why a lot of administrators, storage team, network team, operations, developers, QA team, people who are from the different domain, why they are showing interest? Because of the opportunities in the space of cloud and DevOps. There are huge amount of opportunities. And if you take 2006 and 7, what is the buzz that IT has seen when VMware has entered the industry? The same buzz with 10 times. Now you are seeing seeing the buzz for the same cloud and DevOps. And if you ask me what is the scope of cloud and DevOps for the next 5 to industries, you see significant growth in the cloud and DevOps, because each and every company is moving towards or expanding its footprint towards the cloud in order to reduce their IT investments towards the hardware. Rather, they can focus more on the applications and development. And that's the reason, okay, you could see a lot of evolution of jobs and a lot of openings, particularly in India and states, you can see a lot. Okay, and also we saw how in agile things work, and also I clearly explained DevOps is not development plus operations, it's a development related operations. Okay, these are the few things that we have learned. Also, I want to make it one point very clear, and the session timings are same all the time. Okay, and the session timings are going to be Monday to Saturday morning 6 to 7:30. There won't be any changes in that. And if you're joining from states, 8:30 to 10 p.m. Eastern. Okay, it is subject to clock change. If clock changes, okay, even then it's going to be okay, it's going to be minus 7:30 or once 9:30. But US, just do the clock change. And people who are joining from India, the session timings are 6 to 7:30 Monday through Saturday. And again, this meeting link, whatever the link that you're using, it remains same till further notice, and there won't be any changes in it. Okay, so till further notice, whatever the meeting link you are using, please use that. There won't be any changes in the meeting link till further notice. Okay, as we mentioned, first few sessions, first 1 week of the sessions are absolutely free. Ensure you attend all of them and try to make sure whether whatever the content that we are offering is making sense, how close we are to the market standards. Try to analyze and try to learn, utilize this opportunity. And again, I'm repeating, session timings, there won't be any changes. Session timings are going to be Monday to Saturday morning 6 to 7:30. And second thing, if you're joining from states, just look at this. And also, whatever the meeting link you are using, do not change it. It remains the same. However, I'm going to update you guys. Okay. Also, today after the session, every one of you will receive a link. Okay. So like this, it is called as a GitHub link. And on this GitHub link, we are going to attach the YouTube videos link. Okay. So every day you really don't have to wait when I'm going to upload the session, all these things. You just come here and look at your YouTube videos. You are good. Okay, everything will be coming at seamlessly in a single place. But however, I'm gonna send an email, but right after the session, just go and check this in less than 1 hour, you'll get the session recording. Okay, and whatever the board that we are using here is a public link. You can even have access to this board. Okay, you can also access the board from this link. Okay, everything is going to be documented. Each and every step that we are going to talk will be documented and shared with you. This way, you really don't have to reinvent the wheel. Okay, we are there to help you on it. All right. Perfect. And also, I clearly want to mention one important point here. Okay, this is one important point I want to talk. So what is the flow? Oh, no, you're saying that we are going to learn project, we are going to do everything. So what is the strategy that we are going to follow to make things seamlessly understandable? So what is that? What is the thing that you are going to take? So as I mentioned, 99% of the corporate or enterprise infrastructure is on Linux. Okay, so in order to learn all these tools, the very first thing that we need to start with is Linux. Okay, so if you ask me what is a prerequisite for this course, it's Linux. And if you ask me, 90% of the people who join the course, they might or might not know the Linux, but we are going to offer you the Linux in a format that see, Linux is an ocean. We are going to teach you the Linux in a format that is needed for a cloud and DevOps engineer. So we are going to teach Linux that is needed for a cloud and DevOps engineer. And if you learn whatever we are going to teach, that's more than enough to kickstart your career in cloud and DevOps. And there are a lot of jobs. For example, there is a company who offers software as a service, who are into the SaaS solutions. They want to hire Linux engineers because they want to train the product, and then they want to offer a job. So if you take engineers in Amazon, Google Cloud, Amazon Cloud, they really don't take just because you know Linux or just because you know cloud. Even if you don't know cloud, if you know Linux, they will take. I have a lot of people who moved from cloud to AWS, Google Cloud, okay, without knowing complete cloud or DevOps. Okay, that's the power of Linux. Because if you know Linux, it's easy for them to train their product, because 99% of the enterprise infrastructure is on the top of Linux. So that won't be changing. So for that, and we're gonna start with Linux as a first. Okay. Any questions, anyone so far? And also just a request, in order to avoid the crosstalk or parallel talking, we disabled talk option, but in case if anyone wants to talk, you have a hand raise option. Just click the hand raise option. I'm gonna give you an option to talk. Or in case if you want to message me, or connect with me, you also have a chat window. You can just click on the chat window, and if you click the chat window, whatever you want to talk, you can talk to me. Okay, so initially, at least till the time we gain mutual understanding, so I would like to go with this flow, because 2 to 3 people if asking same question, that is going to uh, collide with the conversation, and that's for that. So in order to make a controlled approach, we are going with that. Okay, so yeah, any questions, anyone? I would like to take a pause to take up any questions. Any questions, guys? Let me check the chat window. Yeah, I could see Pawan's hand raised. Yeah, hi Pawan, go ahead. Pawan, I could see some companies asked CI/CD. Obviously, when you say Jenkins, Jenkins is all about CI/CD only. Okay, so yeah, CI/CD is a process. Using Jenkins, we are going to achieve CI/CD. All right. Perfect. Okay, let's try to proceed further. So guys, I want to take things easy. It's very tough to start things. It's tough to talk things that is market, business, everything at this point of time. So let's take easy. Let's not make things overwhelming. Let's try to start and try to take things in a fun oriented way. This way, I want to curate the curiosity in you. Okay, so the very first prerequisite to learn start or load a DevOps is Linux. So first thing, what is Linux? Even before what is Linux, I want to ask you, how many types of operating systems are there? Anyone? How many types of operating systems are there? Anyone? So typically in operating systems, the varieties of operating system are majorly two. One is GUI based, and another is CLI based. So typically in the operating systems, there are two varieties of operating system, and one variety of operating system is GUI, and another variety of operating system is CLI. Let's talk about these things in detail because we're going to talk about GUI, CLI. So I want to make things clear. Okay. So GUI stands for graphical user interface, and CLI stands for command line interface. So command line interface. What is graphical user interface? What is command line interface? Let me give you a small example. I want to save something. So what I'll do, I'll open my notepad. So what I'm doing, I'm just typing Windows button. I'm just typing notepad and I'm selecting this icon and I'm getting a notepad. Now what I'll do is I'll just type something. So cloud and DevOps are most happening things. Tech stack, the job market, and has learning the right way has good edge. So this is something I want to save. What I do, I'll go to the file option and I'm clicking the file option and I'm going to save it as save. And I'm going to save it as I would like to go to some documents and I would like to save it. Okay, I would like to save it as DevOps-batch56.txt. So this file is saved, right? That means even a person who know English can interact with the system just because everything is option. You want to create a file, you have an option. You want to see the list of process running in your computer, what you do, you'll go to the task manager, right? For example, I want to see the list of process that are running, or I want to see what is the CPU utilization, or I want to see what is the memory utilization, I want to see what is the disk utilization, I want to see how my graphic card is performing. I also want to see each and every process, which one is consuming high CPU, high memory. That means everything is option. Graphical user interface, the options are displayed to you, right? This type of mode is called as graphical user interface. Similarly, if you want to see the system properties, what you do, you go to here and you'll go to the system, type the Windows C, you go to the system and you just right click. I want to see my system properties. I'll come here, I'll click on the properties and you should be able to see, hey, it is using Windows 7 and the hardware is Lenovo. And if you see this, it belongs to this particular work group and it has 32 GB of 32 GB of RAM attached and it is a 64-bit operating system and blah 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 information is there. And whatever the information that you want, it is being shown by using the options that are available. And this type of options, this type of interface is called as a GUI. What are the operating systems that you are aware of? Windows is a classic example of graphical user interface. And the next segment of operating system is command line operating system. I want to create a file, I'll use a command. I want to shut down the system, I'll use a command. I want to create a file, I'll use a command. I want to see the list of process in the system, I'll use a command. I want to see how much CPU is allocated to my system, I'll use a command. I want to shut down the machine, I'll use a command. Everything is a command. The way you interact with the system is completely over the commands using the command line. Okay, and if you ask me which one is famous, which is highly used, the answer is this. 99.9% of the enterprise in state, okay, 99% of the enterprise, okay, uses this. Okay, I'll ask you one simple question. Okay, so which is the most famous operating system? Okay, I'll park this question. I'll ask this question in some time. Okay, so graphical user interface and command line interface. So in our training, I focus more on the CLI because this thing from the till the time we born, till the time we die, we use graphical user interface. So I really don't want to talk. And this is the market and this is the scope. If you want to start your cloud or DevOps journey, this is where you need to start. And Linux falls under the category of command line operating system, command line interface. So first of all, what is a Linux? Okay, first of all, what is Linux? So that's about CLI and GI. So even before we start about it, what is Linux? Anyone want to add? Anyone? What is Linux? So I'll ask you one question. Okay, so people are saying Linux is an operating system which is open source. So we have used two couple of words. Linux is an operating system. That is one answer. Linux is a free operating system. That is another answer. Another answer is Linux is open source. So we started using three words. Let's talk all about them. First thing, Linux, everyone refer it as a operating system, but Linux is a kernel. So kernel is a first layer of operating system, that is the one which interacts with the underlying hardware. If someone says that developing a operating system is a very tough job, that's because developing a kernel, that means writing a software that interacts with the hardware, is a very complex problem. Okay, it's a complex problem and at the same time it's a challenging task. So developing a kernel is a toughest thing and Linux is a kernel which is of type Linux. Okay, whatever the tools, whatever the utilities that you want to add, you can add on the top of the kernel. So Linux is a command line interface kernel. Okay, and you know what, in the big tug of war between Windows and Linux is a winner. So I'll ask you, which one is a which is the most popular operating system? Anyone? I just sent a poll. Anyone? I just sent a poll. Which is the most famous? Talk in general, okay? Just talk in general. Let me send a poll. I just sent a poll. Uh, let me send a poll. Where is this? 1 second. I used to have a poll option. Just a second. Okay, so type your answers, guys. What is the most famous operating system? What is the most famous operating system? Anyone? Anyone? Windows, Windows, Windows. Just type it. Windows, Windows, Windows. Let me send a poll. What is the most famous operating system? Okay, I want to take a call. What's the most famous? What's the? I just sent a poll. Can people answer? What is the most famous operating system? I just sent a poll. You would have got it, the poll on the top of your screen. So can you please answer that? I'm very much curious to understand the capability and the knowledge level that we have. What is the most famous operating system? Okay, thank you, everyone. I think I want every one of you to answer this. What is the most famous or most used operating system? So I want every one of you to give your answer. Come on, come on, come on. I would like to wait for 10 more seconds. So the poll is going to end in 10 more seconds, 8 more seconds, 5 more seconds. 2 more seconds. Perfect. I think in this batch, 75% of the people reported that Linux is a most famous and most used operating system, and 25% reported that Windows is the most famous and most used answer. And this is the first batch that I heard that I got a majority of the answer, which is Linux, and that is 100% true. What if I say 99.9% of the corporate and enterprise infra uses Linux? You take Facebook, you take Google, you take any big company, they all uses the Linux as their underlying operating system. Even I'll start refer it as an operating system. But if someone asks you at core level, just say that there is a kernel. But on a whole, if you talk in general, it can be referred as operating system, which is Linux. And Linux is the 99.99% is the most used and most loved and most adopted operating system. And that's the reason whatever the applications that want to be developed, they want to take Linux as a platform and they want to develop the applications on the top of it, and then they show interest to develop on the top of Windows. Because if you want to use Windows, you need to have a license. Okay, so Linux is not like that. You really don't have to go with some license. That means you do not have to pay a license. So I'm started using a word called as license and open source. So a Linux is an open source. That means you really don't have to pay anyone. Okay, because it's an open source, but it may or may not be free. Okay, this statement also I would like to talk exclusively in detail. Okay, so uh, the big competition for Windows was Linux from the beginning, and there is a big tug of war that used to happen between Windows and Linux. So Bill Gates used to pass comments on Linux, and Linux used to pass comments on Big. It's a very big tug of war. Okay, it's always Microsoft versus Linux, but okay, when Satya Nadella Okay, when Satya Nadella has become the CEO of Microsoft, he started with a term called as we no longer Microsoft is not against Linux. In fact, Microsoft loves Linux because they know the clear picture, entire open source platform, entire open source stack is behind Linux. And if they don't adopt Linux, it's going to be have a great negative impact, and that's the reason they adopted that. And if I ask you, even Windows 11, okay, whatever the operating system that you use, if it is Windows 11, they even have a terminal like this. For example, if for Mac and Linux machines, they have a terminal like this, right? Whatever the commands that you want to execute, they'll have a terminal, right? Similarly, in Windows 11 also, they have a inbuilt Linux-based terminal. That means even though it is a Windows-based operating system, the core kernel is of type Linux. So now you need to understand the importance and the need of Linux. Okay, so without Linux, it's practically impossible to proceed. And how this Linux thing came up into picture, first things first. So we need to talk about this. Okay, so I want to show you a proof. I told you what is the most used and most famous operating system, and I also passed an open statement that 99.9% of the corporate and enterprise infrastructure is on the top of Linux. Then where is the proof? Let me show you that. Okay, let's talk in general. Just ask internet. Operating system utilization in the wiki, something like that. Okay, go with the images, any sort of images from the Wikipedia. Click on this and click on the image and look for the images. Click on this. And if you see this graph, it is a graph from Wikipedia. Okay, and if you see this if you take from 1995 to 2023, look at the graph. Okay, here blue indicates Unix and dark blue indicates Windows. And if you see green is Linux. Again, what is Unix? Again, the next thing is something I want to talk. So starting from 1995, 1996, you look at the graph. Earlier, the utilization of Windows and Unix are high, but if you come here, there won't be any other color apart from green. That means it's more than 99.99%. It is an open statement, because if you want to run 10,000 servers and if you want to run 20,000 servers, you cannot pay 20,000 license. And the way how uh, Windows licensing works was a little different. Okay, and moreover, all the applications work first class and all the applications works phenomenal on the top of Linux platform, and the complexity is also very less. So that's the reason without Linux, it's not possible. Technically, Linux is inevitable. And that's the reason I passed a statement 99.9% of the enterprise infrastructure is Linux. I'll ask you another question. Who is the richest person in the world for a very long time? If you're a 90s or 80s kid, if I ask you who is the richest guy for a very long time, what is the answer? Don't say Elon Musk. He's been in your age, okay? Anyone? Anyone? Hmm. Anyone? I could see a lot of answers in the chat window. Awesome. I got 12 answers. All 12 are saying Bill Gates. Yes. Why? Do you know why Microsoft is the richest guy for a very long time? I'll tell you the answer. It's because of it's because of how Windows licensing work. Okay, this is one of the big money generation process for Microsoft. Okay, it's business. No one wants to give it for free. But when Microsoft was designed, okay, they want to go with a licensing model. They want to go with licensing model. That means, for example, you as a home user, that means you have a personal laptop. I'm using the word personal laptop, not enterprise laptop, and you bought a laptop for your own personal use, and you need to pay for license, right? So you go with Windows 11 Home Home Edition, right? If you're going to go with the Windows 11 Home Edition, okay, you'll pay some amount. Okay, how much you'll pay since you're a home user or a school user? Okay, you'll pay very less amount. Like for example, typically you just pay $5,000, right? You end up paying 5,000. Mhm. Okay, but if the same computer is managed by if the same computer is managed by enterprise, the licensing cost would be different. This price would vary. Okay, maybe it could be 10,000, and the license you don't use home. Instead, you use professional license. The moment you use professional license, you also need to renew the license. That means if you buy a license, it's not like you're going to use it for forever. Okay, so for every 2 years or 3 years, I don't remember, you also need to renew the license. Okay, no matter, Windows is best. Okay, it has all the options, but I'm just talking about how business think when they want to pay. Okay, but for example, you take a server. Let's take a big server. If you have a server, okay, so again, operating systems are again of client based and server based. And for example, if you take Windows Server operating system, okay, like a Windows 2018 or 2020. Okay, if you take 2K20 or 2K18, the licensing is not just 10,000, 20,000, or 30,000. No, based on the number of users. For example, based on the number of user accounts that you create, so you need to pay. Okay, for example, there is a company. which is having 5,000 employees, and they want to create 5,000 users on the top of the server. And there is also another company with the 10 users. It's not like both of the companies would pay, because based on the number of users, the licensing could vary. And that is one of the main reason, okay, how applications work and what is the reason for the utilization. So it typically goes by licensing model. And if you go with Windows license cost, okay, so look at any of the license, come here and click on this. These are things that you should know, because when you talk to customer, when you're deciding some platform, definitely you should have the core understanding. And if you see this, this is a Windows Server 2022 standard edition. If your server is having 16 cores, that means 16 CPU, you need to pay 577. And at the same time, they are also telling virtualization is enabled and it can use to a maximum of 16 cores. And server standard 2222 requires CALs, which are not included unless stated. That means based on the number of users that your company has, those much amount of licensing also you need to pay. Okay, that is another thing. So for example, if you take about this Microsoft Windows, okay, so let's talk about these many you want, you need to pay 47,000. That much costly it is. So again, if you go back and look at some other thing, mhm. I'm just showing for examples how the licensing works. It's always good to have knowledge. So the licensing model is purely based on how many number of users that you're going to create. Okay, so Windows Server on Azure. So Windows Server 2022 licensing and pricing. Let's click this official link rather than talking about all these things. And they are clearly mentioning. And if it is a data center edition and the licensing, if the licensing is based on just core and you need to buy the calc based on the count, you need to pay based on the minimum. This is the maximum selling retail price, but based on the number of users, the things would change. Okay, that is one point. You should be very clear. It's not like I just create a server, I use it whatever, whenever I want. So based on the number of users that you're going to create or number of users that are going to be hosted by this, the licensing is going to be costing you. But whereas in Linux, it's not like that. Okay, so Linux is an open source. Okay, that means if you want to use an operating system, technically you really don't have to pay anyone. You can straight away start, but there is a concept called as support. You need to pay for support. Again, the support is not cheap. Okay, it's also costly. So, but I also want to talk few more things. It all started, okay, even to give the quick background, it all started in 1975. Okay, the command line operating system initially it's MS-DOS. Okay, MS stands for Microsoft DOS. So it's a disk operating system. Yeah, someone is saying something. Yeah, someone is saying something. Want to talk? I'm not able to hear if you're speaking, Pawan. All right. So it all started in 1975 with MS-DOS. MS-DOS stands for Disk Operating System, which is a command line operating system, and at the same time, it is not free. Okay. In 1980s, a very famous operating system called as Unix came up. Okay. So Unix is a command line operating system. Okay. It's one of the best operating system that was ever designed so far. Your Mac is an example. Your MacBook is an example which runs with Unix operating system. Okay, not really Unix, but flavor of Unix. So if you take Unix only, since it is very, very costly during 1980s, 80s and 85s, only the colleges, universities, and big companies could afford them. Okay, because uh, because of how it was designed. If you want to use this Unix command line operating system, you need to buy the hardware from them. Hardware, Unix hardware plus operating system Unix. Okay, you need to buy together. So for example, if it is each and every Unix is offered from again multiple vendors. For example, if you're talking about IBM, IBM also has their own version of Unix, which is nothing but AIX. Okay, and if you want to use AIX, you need to use hardware, power systems hardware. Okay, apart from this hardware, this operating system will not work anywhere. That means if you want to use IBM Unix, you need to have the IBM hardware. IBM Unix, IBM hardware. Okay, and you need to have the IBM hardware. That means it's not like I'll buy a Dell computer and I'll run a Linux machine, or I'll buy a Lenovo hardware and I'll run a Windows machine. No, if you want to use Unix, you need to be a proprietary hardware is highly involved. Okay, so no doubt it's a very costly thing, but at the same time, Unix is not something that everyone can afford. Again, Unix is also a command line operating system. A lot of people will think Unix and Linux are same, but both of them are not same. Linux was created and developed keeping the mic by keeping Unix as an inspiration. Okay, that is an open fact. Okay, Linux was developed keeping the Unix as an inspiration. So since it is a very, very costly thing, not everyone could afford. In 1985 and close to 1990s, a university student and an engineer whose name is Linus Torvalds, he got an idea. Okay, 99% of the open source tools that you see right now are just because of this guy, and this guy name is Linus Torvalds, and he's still alive. He's a very nice guy. Okay, and he's the guy, he observed the whole story and he want to develop a command line operating system. He's very curious about the whole development. He felt that I want to do something to the community, and he started a open source project called as Linux. So again, I started using open source. Again, I want to explain that what is this open source project, which is nothing but Linux. Okay, so he started this project called as kernel. Even now it is still there. Okay, so the main motto of the project is very, very simple. So he want to develop a project that is free, and it can be it's not something he just develops, everyone use it. No, everyone in the world, okay, who is interested to contribute something to the community, they can contribute. So he started an open source project. Okay, what is the open source? I'll talk about it, but sorry. So with that mindset, he want to he want to make something that is useful and that can be used by everyone. Okay, so with that context in mind, he want to develop. Okay, he want to develop. So keeping that in mind, he planned a context. He started something called as GNUX. Okay, so GNUX stands for generally not Unix. That means they want to create an operating system which is similar to Unix, but it should not be Unix. Okay, GNUX stands for generally not Unix, technically which is a Linux. Okay, so generally not Unix, and with that motto they started developing. Everyone, all the software developers across the world who want to develop something free and contribute it for free so that everyone can use, they started developing the project called as Linux, which is open source. Okay, so with this buzz, and everyone started contributing to this. Okay, and with this open source, okay, so they want things to be like this. Okay, so as per your understanding, what is open source? They want to develop a software, they want to develop a command line operating system which is free. Okay, so as per your understanding, what is open source? Anyone, if anyone wants to add, or anyone wants to see what is open source? I keep on using it, right? Let's talk about it. What is open source? Anyone? 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 Lalita, Anjeshwar, Pawan, anyone, guys? Free to use, everyone contribute. That's a great answer. So free to use. That may or may not be true all the time. Free to use may or may not be true all the time. Okay. Kernel can be customized. That means code is open. Okay, if you take Windows, the code is not open, so only the proprietor or the owner of the operating system, which is Microsoft, has the ability, has the code. Only they can add or they can tune. But if a project is open source, it's not really proprietary. That means anyone can access the code. Open source project is project where everyone can contribute. Yes, anyone can contribute. That's a good answer. Okay, source code is open to anyone. Yes, we answered that. Anyone can modify. Yes, and it can use without license. Yes, without any license? That's a good answer. Okay. Okay. So another important point, since the code is open, okay, you have an option to customize it. Okay. Even after customizing the code still that has to be kept open. It's not like I have taken this open source code, I'll add something and I'll make that as a proprietor. No. Okay. Open source should has to be open source and may or may not be free. That is the second thing. The code should be publicly open. That is the fundamental principle of code should be open. That means anyone should have access to what's going on. Okay. That is one point I want to make it clear. And here free to use may or may not be true. Okay. So this one I'll talk about it. And since Linux is a open source operating system, you know what? How many varieties of operating systems are there in Linux? Technically, we refer them as flavors. You know how many flavors of Linux are there? When I say flavor, different brands. Okay, so like Oracle has their own Linux. Facebook, they have their own Linux. YouTube, they have their own Linux. Meta, they have their own Linux. Mail, they have their own Linux. Okay, so since it is an open source, everyone take Linux and as per their business and as per the requirement, they'll rebrand it or they'll change things, and they have officially there are 300 plus versions of Linux are available. Okay, as of today, okay, in Linux as of today, okay, so in interview, if they ask you what all flavors of Linux that you have used or what all distributions that you have used, that means they're asking you what all varieties, okay, what all Linux that you have used. Okay, because of this open source thing and everyone has the ability and capability to make things of their own, in Linux there are 300 plus official distributions that are available. Okay, based on the need, okay, based on the things, everyone they started adopting, they started building things of their own. Okay, so if you take this as an example, okay, Linux flavors, Linux flavors, something images, something like that. A list of Linux distributions. Yeah, this is a very famous diagram. If you click at this, these many flavors are there from starting from 1992 till date 2023, 2024. How many operating systems are available? You can see this. Again, in the Linux, these many varieties are there. Okay, but if you talk, everything has originated from something, either Debian, or if you take, the other is either from Red Hat. Okay, so Red Hat or Fedora. If you come here, Linux, okay, majorly from, you take any operating system, any flavor of Linux is, okay, Linux majorly from either one. Okay, but fundamentally concept wise both of them are same. The only difference that you notice is commands. Okay, since it is open source, everyone made things of their own. Okay, so Fedora or Red Hat based. Okay, Fedora, Red Hat are company names. Okay, don't have to worry about it. Okay, this is one major flavor. And another is Debian or Ubuntu based machines. Ubuntu. You take any operating system, you take any flavor in Linux, either it is cloned from this or this. That's a very straight answer. And if you take anything, for example, Red Hat is a flavor. And if you see, Red Hat has cloned this and they branded it as Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and they started distributing it in a commercial edition. So even though it is a commercial edition, still it is free to use, but at the same time, not for everyone. For enterprises, if they want to use, they need to pay. But you as a home user, you really don't have to pay because it's not licensed. And at the same time, if you see the same red line, if you see again another another company called as Oracle, they cloned the same operating system and they did some small customization. They rebranded it as Oracle Enterprise Linux, and they'll sell it. So likewise and like forth, you see a lot of operating systems as per their requirement. Everyone just clones it and they make it. Okay. And if you see this Rocky Linux is it's a kid. Okay. In 2021, it was cloned from Red Hat, technically from CentOS. Okay, so Manu, these many operating systems, these many flavors are there. Which one do I need to learn? Okay, so in corporate, you see majority of the times you would be using Red Hat based. Okay, even in interviews they'll ask you what type of operating system that you have used. You can either use Red Hat or CentOS. Both of them are a cloned copy. So CentOS is an operating system, okay, which is cloned from Red Hat. So it is commercial edition. It is an open edition. Okay, so if you want to use this, you need to pay at enterprise. If you want to use this, you really don't have to pay. You take any company, okay, they prefer to use this. Okay, I'll also give a reason why. This is one famous example I always go with. Okay, you have some. Um, I'll 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 give you one nice example. You want to buy some shoes. Okay, so you want to buy some shoes, and see, simple. You decided to since New Year is coming, you decided that you want to start your fitness journey and you want to start with a run. And since you're focused towards sports and fitness, you want to buy some shoes. So what is the first brand that comes into your mind, guys? Anyone? 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 What is the first thing that you see when you want to buy some shoes? What? Okay, you want to buy some sports shoes. What is the first brand that comes to? Anyone?
Like, like,
That's a great answer. Anyone else? Anyone else? Nike. The moment I say sports, everyone started saying Nike. Skechers. 80%, 75 plus percent reported that it is Nike, and 15% reported Adidas. Okay, why Nike? Because the way they endorse, you see any sports brand, you see any sports star, they use Nike, right? I mean, even Puma, everyone are very good, but the moment you say sports, the first thing that flashes in your mind is Nike. Okay, I'll also give a reason. For example, you bought a pair of shoes, okay, and I don't want to use that brand name. So you have an X brand, and you bought the shoes, and you want to experience the shoe. You had a walk and you like the shoes in the showroom, and you went, and after a run you didn't like the shoe, and you went to the showroom and they said that this X brand showroom, he says that sir, written policy is not there because you already had a trial. Or he says that, sir, we have a written policy, but our manager needs to examine. So manager comes after a week, or we need to send it to our head office. They'll do the analysis and then they'll tell you. And after they'll ask you to come after 2 weeks, and they say that, sir, this we have a written policy, but you need to return the shoes, and you need to wait for a month, and then you'll get your money back. This is one way. For example, you take another brand, Y brand. Okay. So the same Y brand or Nike, you buy the shoes. For example, you bought the shoe and you didn't like the brand. Okay, you didn't like the same shoe again. Now you want to return the shoe, and this guy Y brand, what he says, sorry sir, okay sir, no problem. You can exchange it, or you can even return it, or if you want money, we can give it back. So may I know the reason why you would like to return? He says that I didn't like the comfort or I didn't like the color. But then he says that, sir, if you want money, we can give, but if you're looking for alternatives, we can also search. Okay, now he says that I didn't like, I want money back. Now, which one has a good customer value here? Now, next time when he want to buy a shoe, where he goes? He goes to the X brand. In both the places, he returned the shoe. But in which place he'll show next time interest to buy the shoe? Anyone? Shailesh, you need to raise your hand to talk. Anyone? Usually. All right. Okay. Obviously, Y brand. Why Y brand? Why? So guys, when a company wants to select a product, what all it looks. Okay. So if you want to choose a product, it's very evident. Okay, if you want to choose a product, There is a product and the same product is available from a lot of brands. So what are the things that you look at it? So if you could answer in the chat, or if you look at, if you unmute and talk, that would be really helpful. I have given unmute option to everyone who want to speak. You can speak. Can someone please confirm me, am I audible? Can someone please confirm me, am I audible? Anyone?
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay, perfect, Lalita. All right. If you want to choose a product which is available from lot of brands, the first thing, it should be easy to use. It should be user friendly. It should be easy to use. That's for sure. It's also referred as easy to use or user friendly. The next thing, the cost. Obviously, the cost matters. Cost should be affordable. Okay. And think it should have a better customer experience. You should have a better customer experience. Okay. That is one very, very important point. And next thing is, okay, reliability of the product. Okay. Among the product which is being offered from different brands, which one is reliable? Okay. This plays a very important role. Reliability. The next thing, endorsement. Usually first thing come, which is whichever does more endorsement. Technically that flashes first, but that might not be a selection or rejection criteria, but it plays some role. Okay, so the product should always be easy to use, and whenever you are having some issues, you should have a better customer experience. And this one point is very, 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 very important in selection. Even though the product is little tough to use, or even though the product is little costly, even though they have the less endorsement, not reliability, they should have a good reliability. So if they offer a better customer support, that means whenever you're having any issues. So for example, company Y company Y offers the best customer support. That means anyone who uses the product, if any of the customers are having any sort of challenges, they can immediately help them. Okay, so in that category, Red Hat is a top notch. Okay, and that's the reason Red Hat is costly, no doubt. Okay, but they are known for one of the best customer support, and that's the reason in the training also we are going to use this. Okay, Red Hat is known for one of the best customer support, just like how Amazon offers the best customer support to these users. Similarly, Red Hat is also something, it offers one of the best customer support, but at the same time it is not cheap. Okay, it is costly, but almost all the companies, if they want to use some servers in their production server, they prefer to go with Red Hat machines. Okay, so for example, if in your project, if you're having 1000 servers, okay, for example, if in your project, if you're having 1000 servers, okay, so you are going to pay for support, not for the usage. Okay, so for example, if you go to Red Hat, here they don't use the words license, here use the subscription, Red Hat Linux subscription. Okay, on Red Hat Linux. Red Hat is also referred as a RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux. And they're also telling if you are using the Red Hat Enterprise server, you don't get any support. You need to pay $350. Okay, since it is enterprise. And if you are using at home, you really don't have to pay anyone. And for example, if this is a enterprise solution which uses SAP, you need to pay $750. Okay, and nowhere they are mentioning if you're using these many CPUs or if you're using these many users, the pricing varies. No, it's not like that. For example, if you are working for a company called as X, and if in that company, if they give you a Red Hat laptop, a Red Hat operating system, that company pays $179 for them. Okay, so yeah, it is a little expensive, but at the same time, the support offered by them were phenomenal. You take other operating systems like CentOS Linux, Kali Linux, they all go by community support. That means there won't be any responsible person to address your questions. And that's the reason if in your project, if you're having 1000 servers, how we design the things is typically we have multiple environments like prod. For example, in the prod, if you're having 250 servers, we go with 250 Red Hat. That means I want support for my production servers. And technically, okay, your production and pre-prod should be same, okay, apart from the capacity, okay, and apart from the number of servers. Prod and pre-prod should be almost same with respect to the configuration. So even here we go with Red Hat, okay. But if you go with the lower environments like QA, which is a test environment, okay, and development environment, we go with the other flavor. Okay, so there is another operating system which is a cloned version of Red Hat. Okay, from the Red Hat they have cloned it and they are making it for free. You can also use something called as CentOS. CentOS is also CentOS and Red Hat 99.99% same apart from the brand name. Okay, so CentOS is a 100% free, but you don't get any support. But here in these two cases we are going to get the support. So the same software and the same applications both works on both the ways. This is how we classify the things, we organize the things, keeping the billing and context in mind. This is one of the most famous approach that in companies uses. You can see the same in lot of white papers. Okay, this is one way of handling. Okay, so rel or Red Hat or Red Hat Linux, all of them are same. All right. Okay, now next thing, since Linux is very important, how are we going to learn? How can I learn Linux then? First thing, you can, if you are having a Linux laptop, yes, you can learn. If you are having a Linux laptop, you can learn on the top of it. Okay, since Linux is 100% inevitable, so how you need to learn Linux. So if you want to learn Linux, how are we going to learn? The first option is you should have a Linux laptop. For example, if you are having a Linux laptop, you can use that. Or if you are having Oracle box, okay, on the top of your Windows machine, okay, so Oracle box on your computer and run Linux on it. That is one option. I'm referring options. Okay, I'm not saying that we are going to use Watet. Okay, that is one option. Next is you can also use something called as Killer Coda, where they offer online Linux terminals. Katacoda. Okay, online Linux terminal. And next thing is create a server on AWS cloud and learn on it. Okay, so if you ask me which one is more close to the reality, I'll say this. Okay, so in our training, we are going to create a server on the top of AWS, which is a Linux-based server, and then we are going to learn Linux on the top of it. Okay, because in this training, we always prefer to use the term real time, which is very much close to the industry standard. So we are going to create and we are going to learn Linux also on the top of AWS cloud by creating a server on the top of it. Okay, so we want to do, and in order to do that, how can I create a server on cloud? So how can I create a server on AWS cloud? That is an interesting question. So you can have a free tier account. So Amazon, okay, you can create a free tier account. Amazon, the main reason why a lot of people use AWS is just because a lot of people know how to use AWS. Okay, that's one of the reason. And the main reason for that is AWS offers a free account for 1 year. Technically, it's a lifetime free account, but you can use most of the services free in the first 1 year. AWS offers a free tier account, okay, uh, for 1 year. Okay, you can almost avail most of the things for free. Okay, if you follow my suggestions and tips, you can almost avail most of the services for free. Okay, having said that, there are some conditions. You need to be very careful on it, and majority of the services are can be used. Okay, and third thing, and here if you use, I'm keep on using services. Okay, so ensure you use the right terminology. So how, in order to create a free tier account, what all do I need? Okay, so how can I create an AWS account? Let's talk about it. Okay, how to create an AWS account? Let's talk about that. Okay, you need to have a mail address. You need to have an email. And second thing, you need to have credit card, okay, or debit card, but I openly say that credit card is the best option, or debit card. So if you use a credit card or debit card, in less than 24 hours, your account gets activated. Okay, so this is how we are going to learn everything on the top of AWS Cloud. So how can I create an AWS Cloud? If AWS Cloud is that much important, so how can I create it? Okay, so first let's go here, Google AWS. All you need to do is AWS free tier. Okay, click on this, get a free tier account. Come here. So if you see this, AWS free tier, gain free hands-on experience on AWS platform, try our products. So AWS offers you trial, and this account is 12 months free. Okay, that means this account is free all the time, but you can use the services that are offered in Amazon for the first 12 months for free. When they say free, it's not free all the time. Okay, if you are using a server, you can use a server for 750 hours of one type. Okay, Amazon offers one CPU and 1 gig of RAM of one type. You can run it continuously for 750 hours. Okay, and for example, if you say 24 hours into 30 days, you take one server and you continuously run it for round the clock 30 days, still you would be spending less than what Amazon offers. So technically you're good. But you know what? The scope of the training is so huge, we even end up consuming more than that. So on an average, every student gets 300 to 500 bill, because we are going to consume a lot of resources on the top of cloud. Okay, so database, they are offering 750 hours of database. The Amazon is offering you 5 GB of storage. And if you're using DynamoDB, which is also a type of database, 25 GB of the storage you can use. And if you're using OpenSearch or SNS, a lot of services, you can use them for free. Okay, but there are some conditions. 750 hours of T4G small instance, dependent on the region. This is available only in certain places. And 750 hours of, if you see this Linux, Red Hat Linux or SLES Linux of T2 micro or T3 micro, depend on the region, it's free. What is this T3 micro? What is this T3 2 micro? We'll talk about that. And they're also telling even Windows is free. So Windows T2 micro or Windows T3 micro is also free. Usually earlier, I think till last year, Windows usage is not free, but now they also added it as a part of the free tab. So we are going to use this and we are going to learn everything on the top of it. Now, how can I create my account? Just come here and click this, create a free tier account. And you need to enter your Gmail address, okay? training.batch56@gmail.com. Okay. I'll come here and I'll say I would like to create an account. Just say email address and account name is Manoj Training or we can say that training. Okay, you need to give some account name, training DevOps. For example, if you are working for a project called as Airspace, okay, or space project, you would say it will be space dev, space prod, like that. So you need to click on verify email address. The moment you click the verify email address, you'll get a email with a password. Okay, since I already have an account, I just made a document with a detailed note. Okay, so the moment you say verify email, okay, so you'll get a one-time password to your email address that you have given. Ensure you maintain one standard email address of your personal so that you don't have to switch between different emails. Okay, you need to enter the one-time password and then you need to configure a password. For example, if you want to, just like your email, how you create an email, you need to set up a password and then continue. Then Amazon asks you enter your name, your personal details. Okay, don't worry, Amazon is known for safety, and even the government organizations in states across the world, India uses Amazon for hosting their infrastructure. That much compliances and regulations Amazon follow. You need to say your personal details, your mobile number, your address. Okay, in my case, I'm in Bangalore, I'm in Karnataka. So that's the reason I entered the details. Enter your zip code and continue. Then you need to enter your bank information. Okay, see, Amazon wants to ensure, they want to provide the best services to all the people, okay, who want to learn. And that's the reason they want to ensure that their resources, whatever they are offering, should not be abused. And that's the reason they want to ensure that the resources are not by harvested by robots, okay, to do the mining of bitcoins and all. And that's the reason what they do is they ensures that whoever the user who is trying to place the request should be a human user. Obviously robots won't be having, right, robots won't be having a bank account and all. So in order to rule that out, they'll ask you to enter the username and password. Okay, enter your bank or debit card details. You can enter that. If you ask me which one is preferred, debit or credit, 100% I say go with credit card. If you activate it by credit card in less than 1 hour, it will be activated majority of the times. But I would say less than 24 hours. Okay, majority of the people report their account get activated in less than 2 minutes. But I would say if you're using debit card, it takes minimum of 24 hours. But if you use a credit card, in less than 1 hour also it gets activated, but consider the timeline as 24 hours. Okay, now you need to enter your debit card details, all these things, and just mention that you don't have a PAN card. Okay, and then continue. And Amazon also offers a support plan. What type of support do you want? That is very important. In our case, we don't want any support from Amazon because I am there for you to guide you. So you can go with free support. And if you are an independent developer who is contributing some open source projects, whenever you want some help, if Amazon wants to help, they go with developer support. Your companies go with business support. That means they need to pay $1,100 per month for offering support. Okay. In our case, we are going to go with the basic support plan because I'm there to help you. That is one point. So you should be going with the free support. Done. And once it is done, click on continue setup. You'll get an email like this. Congratulations. Thank you for signing up. We are activating your account, which should take a few minutes of time. You'll receive an email. When this is completed, you're good to start. This is the email. And once you get an email, yo, your account is activated. Then how can I set up? So once your email address is there with you, you can sign up. Come here. In my case, I'll come here. I'll come and okay, let me sign off. Okay. So you can click on log back in or sign in. Anything is fine. Come and try to enter your details. Okay. What are the Gmail that you have, password that you have configured? Click on this. Now, boom, you'll be entering into it. Okay. Amazon offers everything as a service. Okay. Amazon offers everything as a service. That means whatever the services that are offered in Amazon, you can click this. There are 300 plus services that are offered in Amazon based on the type of business. For example, if your business is into blockchain, Amazon has a service. For example, if you want to create a server, you have a service. If you want to deal with database, you have a service. If you are a media company, you want certain services, you have media related services. And for example, yours is a robotic business, the robots have a service. And for example, if you want to create some storage, you have a service. Amazon, and that's the reason they name itself as Amazon Web Services. Every service they offer it to you over internet. Okay. And Amazon's footprint is so huge. Amazon has presence in almost 30 plus countries. Okay, Amazon's global infrastructure. Again, this is something which I would like to talk more tomorrow. Okay, if you come here and look at AWS global infrastructure, Amazon has presence in these many regions. Okay, so overview. Okay, so Amazon has its presence. Why the image is not loading? Yeah. So if you take the whole world map, these many places Amazon has there, and it all started in North Virginia. And even the government companies also has a specific place in states where they host. And and wherever you see red ball, that means their work is still in progress. And that's about it. And this one I'm gonna start more about tomorrow. I would like to make a wrap, and I would like to give an assignment. So what's assignment for you guys tomorrow? Okay. So what's your assignment for tomorrow? Okay. I want every one of you to, because from tomorrow we're going to start Linux and few cloud topics as well. So ensure you create and activate your AWS account. That is point number 1. Okay. So sign in should be able to support. Okay, should be able to sign in as well. This is the first assignment. And a lot of people have asked me this question: what are softwares and computer requirements? What are the software or computer requirements? License requirements, not license. Okay. So see guys, if you are having corporate computer and if you want to practice, I would say yes. But if you are having a corporate computer and if you are in a position to afford a computer, I would say buy a second-hand computer. Any computer, I'm okay with any computer with Windows or Linux, or if you're having MacBook, I'm okay with anything. But just for the training, don't buy. I don't insist you to buy some go with high computers and all. No, do not do that. Okay, any computer with Windows or Linux or MacBook, anything is fine. But if you're buying a brand new computer, I don't suggest you to buy a brand new. Go with some pre-owned computers. And resources, ensure the resources are minimal, or just go with the minimum resources possible. Resources, I would say minimum 8 GB memory and should be above i5. Okay, so these are very basic requirement. Any computer that you take in last 3 to 5 years has this. Yeah, if you ask me honestly, I say we are going to harvest everything on the top of cloud. Okay, we want to ensure we are close to the industry standards, and keeping that in mind, we are going to consume everything on cloud. So I want a computer where you are comfortable. That's it. And what are the softwares that we are going to install? Just 3 softwares. Again, Putty or Excel or VS Code. Okay. These things I'll teach again tomorrow. Don't worry, because we need to talk about these things, why you need all these things. So that's about it. It's very straight. I don't want to make things complex. Let's go with what we have. Okay. And if you don't have a computer, do not buy. You can even use your corporate computers to practice, but I don't suggest using that. It's against the compliance. Prefer having a personal laptop so that you have a better free hand. Okay. And that's it I have in my hand. And I want to add one more point. Okay, so meeting link remains the same, and we are good with today's session. And I'm ready to take up the questions. And again, session timings are Monday to Saturday morning 6 to 7:30, and there won't be any changes in that. And if you're joining from States, and the session timings are 8:30 to 10 p.m. Eastern time. And meeting link remains the same till further notice. Whatever the meeting link that you are using, that link remains the same. Okay, there won't be any changes in the link. And tomorrow we are going to meet at the same time. And today you'll also receive a GitHub link. Okay, this is the GitHub link that you are going to receive, where we are going to present the YouTube playlist link. That means every day you really don't have to wait when the sessions are going to be uploaded. You can just copy that link and paste it here. You'll be able to see all the sessions here in a single shot. Okay, so that things are going to be very, very organized. Okay, in this training, we are very organized in the way we distribute the things. So things are going to be very much organized. This is session 1, session 2, session 3, session 4, session 5. So whenever you want to go, you can go as per the policy. Okay, so things are very much organized. So every one of you will receive a link, GitHub link, where we have attached the playlist and the board that we are using, along with the AWS account creation procedure doc, and whatever the document that I have displayed here. While creating an AWS account, if you're having any challenges or anything, ensure you just follow the link. Okay, even this one we have documented it very detailed. Just copy and paste it. So things again, whatever we talk, we are going to document and share this way so that we both will be on the same page. All right. So ensure you join tomorrow the same time using the same meeting link. And that's for today. I'm good for today. If you have any questions, I'm ready to take up. And keeping the recording length in mind, I'm gonna stop the recording and take up the questions. And yeah, I'm good. I'm ready to take up the questions. See you tomorrow in the session, same time, 7:30, 6 o'clock India time or 8:30 Eastern. Meeting link remains the same, guys. Okay. And I'm good. I'm ready to take up the questions. Any questions, guys?